Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Mr. Carr.
Shabbat shalom.
Welcome again to another Shabbat service. We're going to go through another dynamic lesson through the set-apart spirit of the Father of Yahuah. It's a pleasure seeing everybody here today as we get ready for a very special festival. We're going to be doing the Feast of Shabbat tomorrow. So it gives pleasure seeing everybody here again today. We're going to, again, have a nice little lesson. Anybody have any testimonies that they would like to share? The Father has been merciful, loving, kind, generous to you throughout the week. And we have our brother here, Shabbat Yahuah.
I just want to thank Yahuah for keeping me this week.
Okay.
It was a rough week, and my other time was giving testimony. But I had a very rough week this week. But Moriel Yahu and Pt2, they were there for me and my family. But I just thank Yahuah for keeping me and my wife. During this week we're going through a transition and moving and stuff like that. And I just ask that you guys keep me in prayer, and I just thank Yahuah for his shalom.
Hallelujah, definitely will. Yeah. Hallelujah. Great. All right.
Well, I just want to give thanks to the Father for also keeping me throughout the week, each and every day, waking me up, giving me shalom and the rest. We're still going through a move and transitioning to try to find a house or an apartment. So with that, anyone who does do that, it's a lot of work to try to find the right place.
Right.
There's a lot of traveling, a lot of going back and forth. And my drive to work has been a 2-hour drive now, going back and forth. So
Each way?
Each way. Yeah. Atlanta traffic is the best.
Yeah.
So I just want to, give thanks to God for keeping me, keeping driving that long. Actually, a couple of days ago, I saw a really bad car accident. Really bad one. So I just want to give thanks for keeping me, he teaches me each and every area, watching over all my steps. So I just want to give thanks to God for that.
Definitely. Hallelujah, definitely for that.
Yeah.
Traveling, that's serious. You have to be both a defensive and an offensive driver. So you definitely got to keep your eyes wide awake at that time. Wow, hallelujah. Yes.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank the Father for a happy 4th. I mean,
You had the ribs on the grill. 80 backs.
Yeah, that's right. I just thank the Father for a pretty good weekend. Was able to get a lot of stuff done. I was able to had a good, smoother transition this week compared to the week prior. So, just thank the Father for that. And, just everything it always is what it's supposed to be, whether it's good or bad. Just how we handle it and how we move through it. So, I just thank the Father for the strength to be able to move through it. So.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I thank the Most High for a set-apart week. Thank you for this kindness and this mercy. I just thank the Most High for how I prayed about something. That was a job interview that I had, and my first interview and assessment was supposed to be for a manager's position.
Okay, right.
And I wanted the position, but at the same time, I didn't think that I was really prepared for it. So I prayed about it, and I just spoke to my Yashra'al about it, and the answer that I received from, the Ruach telling me I should just wait on that position.
Okay.
So the morning of the assessment and all, I contemplated calling the administrative assistant to my boss to ask her if I opt out of the manager's position, seeking it, would it hurt my chances for the other one? But I didn't get a chance to do it, and about 30 minutes before it was time for me to take my assessment, the director, my new boss, he requested to have a meeting with me. And when I entered into his office, you know, we sat down, he started off the conversation, he said, hey, Dexter, I just want you to know, I'm in 100% support of you. And he was saying, and I don't want you to think that I'm overlooking you. He said, but I feel like it would be a disservice for me to put you in that position, and I have not prepared you for it. And he was like, you know, they're asking a lot, and the credentials that they're requesting for this position, he said, the managers that I have now, they don't possess them. And we had like five managers to step down and either quit. But it's very demanding, and you know, they want to have your stuff for this. He said, but I guarantee, he said, if you give me a year, he said, I will have you ready, and you can not only do this position, you want assistant director, so. And he was like, my plan was that, you know, to have you and a couple of other guys to take these supervisor positions that were created. And he was like, I don't want you to worry about the pay, because he said, I negotiated the pay, well, it's not that far from the manager's pay.
Okay.
But, you know, what I like is Yahuah just confirming something that I already knew
See that?
when I prayed about it.
Right.
And the likelihood of the person that's going to be hiring you for the position to call you in a meeting before,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow. And so I had my interview and assessment on. I think everything went well. It was real favorable. So just waiting to hear from them. But what I'm hearing from the managers is that I have the position. I just had to go through the formalities.
Okay.
So others outside, it wouldn't look like, you know, favoritism and all that.
Right.
But I thank the Most High for that. And also thank the Most High for just how, you know, just during this week has been so much going on, but I also thank the Most High just for family. And when I tell y'all we're family, and you get to see these things, when things transpire, how we have to be there for one another.
Absolutely.
And I thank the Most High for that. And I thank the Most High for Mashiyach, who is wonderful to me and good for me. Yahusha, yeah. That's the name, baby. And so, you know, often I always send pictures out to Abad and Shabbat and different ones about, you know, food and stuff that I'm eating.
Right.
But they had a chance to experience it firsthand. You know, what I like about Shah, tell a lot of people, Shah never just takes it upon herself to go in the kitchen and just start cooking. And then, so you know, to say, you know, dinner's ready. She always asks me what I want to eat.
Wow.
And that's for anything. And I really appreciate it, because that says a lot and means a lot.
Absolutely.
And but they got a chance to experience it firsthand to see how they really do get it.
Okay.
And I really appreciate Aisha, because she really is good to me and good for me. And I thank the Most High for that. And I just want each and every last one of you guys to know that I love you. Because when I tell you y'all are family, that's it. Y'all are family. And when I say that, I mean that. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I also want to give a little testimony. The last 7 days has been a real turn in my life. Things are well versus the last couple of weeks. So we'll see how things unfold. So we all going through that little bump in the road about right now. But the Father's definitely working. The festivals are coming up. So let's just keep our eye on the prize. We just keep it as simple as that. All right. So everything is also good. Good. Anybody else? Any other ladies have any testimonies? How the Father's been blessing you? We have Messiah, she's the manager. Just about done. Another week. Another week. 2 weeks. Oh, your manager position, how's that coming along? You got another week, 2 weeks? How's everything with your training?
It's been good. I had a small problem. It was a problem, but I called my mom and she gave me some good wisdom words. I prayed on it, and hopefully it'll get resolved.
It will. Hallelujah. do it. You can do it. Okay, if there is nothing else, we're going to stand up and face the east, and we have our Chief Zakane to bring us in with prayer. And he said we was going to have one. Yes. Yes, we're going to show the part, yes. We have any volunteers? One of the young ladies going to bring us in with prayer. If not, we'll have Ezekiel. All right, so not everybody raise your hand at one time. So we're going to have Ezekiel to bring us in with prayer.
Yahusha, Mashiyach, we give praise and esteem to Yahuah. We love Yahuah. Amen.
Hallelujah. Okay, Mission Car, we're about to get started, and we're going to do a continuance. We'll continue the lesson that we did last week. We did Lazarus Come Forth, Part 1. Today is going to be Lazarus Come Forth, Part 2. Before we get started, we're going to give all the esteem to the Father of Yahuah for his love, his mercy, his promises that he made to our forefathers. And that's going to be very, very important. Our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yaakov. And his ultimate love gift, Yahusha, Mashiyach, who is and was that atoning sacrifice for the nation of Yashra'al. Like I do in all the classes that I do, we must make sure that we give all esteem to the Father and make sure that we understand that everything is based upon the promises that the Father made to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right? This is not to discredit the women, but we have to make sure that we understand who the Father made the covenants and the promises to. All right? You can't have one without the other. The man and the woman belongs together. But it's very important that we understand how the Father is actually orchestrating the whole deal here. Again, from Abraham, Isaac, to Jacob. Now, I'm going to write this on the board. Get it close up as possible so that even those out there in Facebook land, YouTube land, will be able to understand exactly what's going on. This is going to be very, very important. Extremely, extremely important. When we talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we're talking about the oath and the promises promise, which is extremely important, right? So the oath and the promise is extremely, I'll write that down. This is extremely important. I'm going to talk about those characters a little bit. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Fact number one. This is our first fact. The first oath and promise that the Father made concerning a nation / people was with Abraham. Fact number two, take notice that no Hebrew patriarch in Torah took on the name Abraham after Abraham, our father. You ever notice that? That's very important. So that word, that name Abraham is extremely, extremely important. None of our patriarchs ever took on that name after the father Abraham. Fact number 3, the word Abraham simply means father of many people. The father of many people. And I'm using that word people for a reason. The word nations isn't the best translations. All right, that's not the best translation because that kind of confuses things. So again, the word Abraham simply means father of many people. And the word nation isn't the best translation. We're going to go to the book of Bereshit 17 and 5. We're going to prove some of this. Again, the title of today's show is called Lazarus Come Forth. And we're going to be talking about the oath and the promise. This is extremely important, and we have to make sure that we understand how this covenant was actually established with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's going to all come full circle with Lazarus come forth with last week's lesson. The Father said, and I, the I is the Father of Yahuah, speaking through his son, Yahusha Mashiyach. He says, I will establish my covenant between me, and who is the me? Well, just make sure everybody understands. We're going to say it nice and clear, the way that he used to do it back in the day in the clubs. When they say raise the roof, everybody everybody raised the roof. So we're going to raise the roof here today. And I, the Father, will establish my covenant between me, which is the Father, and you, Abraham, and thy seed after you in their generations for an everlasting. And how long is everlasting?
Forever.
So we have the word olam. So from a Hebraic perspective, the word forever means, what does it mean? The word olam, or everlasting. It has until a point. It has a point.
Expiration.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not the same definition that you would get with the Webster Dictionary and according to the way things are looked at here in Western society. So olam does mean a very, very, very long time. And so we'll let the Father deal with that expiration, but it's for a very long time. Because again, what we want to try to share with everybody is that the Father now can extend or add to his ketubah that he has with the nation of Yashra'al. So there are promises that the Father has shared with us, and we don't quite know exactly the fullness of it, but the Father said, no eye, and you can't even imagine the things that he has stored for his bride. And the only thing that we have to do is make sure that we understand the oath and the promises that he made with our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, the word Abram means exalted. All right? The word Abram means exalted. Erase this. And everybody knows why I'm saying Abram, right? So we have the word Abram. Before Abraham's name was Abraham, his name was Abram. And it means exalted, it means exalted father, but watch this now, to exalt the Father. All right? So there's somebody that Abraham is supposed to be now exalting. The same way that there is somebody that we should be exalting in our everyday life. And everybody knows that that person that we're supposed to be exalting in our everyday life is Yahuah. Exactly. So the word Abram means exalted father, or to exalt the Father. And we're going to go to that. Let's go with the Strong's number 87. Strong's number 87. Anybody have it? Gonna wait for me. All right, wait for me. All right. So you know the lesson, you get it.
You read for well,
Book of Bereshit 17 and 5. Okay, the word Abram is the Strong's number 87, and it means exalted father or to exalt the father. It has the original name of Abraham. There's also another Hebrew word that we have, Abraham, which means my father is exalted, but we get into that a little bit later. Now, what I want us to do now is to please take notice of the word Abraham. The word Abraham means, anybody have that?
Father of the multitude, or chief of the multitude.
Right, there we go. So the word Abraham is the Strong's number 85. The Strong's number 85. And it means father of a multitude, or chief of multitude, friend of Elohim, founder of the Hebrew nation through Elohim's elective covenant. It has the Strong's number that's attached to it. It has the word okay, which means father. Now, the word Abraham also means multitude of people. All right, Abraham. Remember I talked about the word people is a better translation than nations. So Abraham, we're going to go into this a little bit deeper. The word Abraham also means a multitude of people. So in contrast now, with the name Yahuah, Abraham means the exalted father will be the chief or the head of a multitude of people. You see how I got that definition? Read it again. So in contrast with the name Yahuah, because we're supposed to now exalt the father of Yahuah, the word Abraham means the exalted father would be the chief and the head of a multitude of people. What people is that?
His descendants.
Who?
His descendants. Promised seed.
There we go. What's some specifics here? Yashra'al. Pay very close attention because we're about to go into some things. So the word Abraham also means a multitude of people. When we begin to look at the word, if he's a multitude of nations, which I do understand, we all understand, he should become a multitude or the chief of nations. This is where a lot of times the problem or the confusion comes in, because people are now under the understanding that Abraham now, in the first beginning walks of the ministry, the fathers try to have this relationship with Abraham. A lot of times what the Christians do, they say, well, the nations now mean every single body. And so what we're trying to do now is to narrow this down